Welcome to Professor Sky's Spam Channel, where I talk about anything that is not new music. And listen, over the last couple of years, I've been really getting into association football, what was shortened by the British to be called soccer. I love it. I want to talk about it, and this, I've been too precious with my secondary channel. So now when I get an idea, I just want to share it. So I want to tell you how the football gods, yes, they exist, how the football gods will assure that France wins the quintuple. Okay? Now listen, today is a big day in French football. It's when Olympique de Marseille plays against Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, I've got my Mbemba jersey on here. I've got my scarves. My family's all set. We're all psyched. But in that sort of spirit of sort of French football madness, let's just establish a few things. First of all, France needs to be better compensated by the football gods. In 2022, they threw the World Cup final. Okay? Colomboani had the goal. He intentionally kicked it right at Martinez's hand. Come on, we had it in the bag. Okay? We had it in the bag, but France, and by the way, I'm not French. I'm American, but I study French and I support their team. I made a video about it before. So when I say we, in this case, even though I'm from Boston and I support the Boston Red Sox, when I say we, I either mean the Boston Red Sox, Olympique de Marseille, or the French national team. We gave it to the Argentinians because Argentina, South America, deserves it for all that they have given to world sport, not just what's his face, the guy who plays for Miami, but just the whole team. Obviously France shouldn't have won it back to back, okay? But still, in order to be compensated for its great gifts to the sport of football, France is going to win the quintuple. Now that means a couple of things. Of course, that means the 2024 Euros. They're already favorites. They're going to walk to the finals, okay? Now, I know the last couple matches didn't look so good, and Deschamps looks like he might not know what he's doing. Of course he does. And I think they're going to win the Olympics as well, even if Mbappe doesn't play, because our youth is so strong, and we have Thierry Henry as our coach, and it's a home Olympics. It's just a great story. So already 2024, we can just lock in. Okay, we can lock in that the Olympics are going to be won by France and the Euros are going to be won by France. Okay, and when I say lock in, I don't mean gamble. In case you don't know, I'm very against sports gambling. And this video is a prediction video against sports gambling. Don't bet on what I'm saying. I'm making poetic. This is a poetic video about football. This is about football gods, not about football odds. Okay? Now, why should France win more than that? Because I'm also going to give you predictions for the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League, and why French teams are going to win all three. It's just cosmically right. For the last few decades, France has been stocking the rivers of Europe with top-level football players. Now, of course, so has less compensated countries like Brazil and Argentina. I'm not saying that. But when you look at the 2022 World Cup, 59 players were born in France. Only half of those played for France. Okay? It is just insane. And for the longest time, the best French players have not played in France, which is part of the reason why French leagues are not as competitive as other leagues, which is why this little star above OM, why Marseille is à jamais les premiers, always the first to win the Champions League, and as of now, the only, up until this year, of course, which I'll discuss. And it's because the second a player gets good enough, they have to leave France. Zidane, Henry, and, of course, soon to be Mbappe. Of course, Mbappe is leaving Paris, he's leaving France, probably going to Spain, which is why my football god theory works out, okay? I may seem crazy to you. I'm not crazy. I just am Listen, I grew up as a baseball fan, so I know the baseball god. Now, the baseball god and the football god are not the same, but they have a similar sense of cruelty, okay? So we have this weird situation where of the European countries that produce soccer players, football players, association football players, France loses most of its great players. Okay, you might be raising your hand. Well, what about England? Kane doesn't play in England anymore, and Bellingham plays in Spain. Those are the exceptions. Those aren't the rules. Most of the best British players get to stay in England, okay? Most of the best German players play in Germany. Most of the great Spanish players play in Spain. The only other league that I think has a similar reason to complain would be Portugal. Okay, maybe their league, maybe they should win some more, but I don't speak Portuguese. So the glorious exception to this has been, and I hate to say this, PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, that's the great exception. And I don't care why. I know why. It's because of Qatari money. I don't care why they have all these great French players, but for the first time in like French history, if a player is truly, truly great, there is a chance that they will stay in France, which has meant that even though I despise PSG, as much as I despise the New York Yankees, you know, one of the best games I've ever seen, no, the best game I've ever seen of any sport was when Marseille beat PSG at the Stade Vélodrome, okay? But it's kind of special what Paris is doing. And I hate to say that, but it really is. Because for the first time, they are doing what Barcelona did 10 years ago, 12 years ago, right? And it's funny because, you know, maybe you think, well, Paris isn't like a real legendary team. They shouldn't do it. This reminds me in baseball, the Miami Marlins won a couple of World Series like within 10 years. And they were a new team. And like, they shouldn't do it. Miami Marlins shouldn't do it. They're a new team. They're not like the Yankees or the Red Sox. Dude. How many world-class baseball players come from New York State and Massachusetts? It's like 4. How many world-class players come from Florida? Like half of them. Like, we need to rethink about this. And when we think about what is the greatest incubator of talent for football in the world, it's not even in South America anymore. It's in the Parisian suburbs for geopolitical reasons, which are absolutely fascinating. Okay? The Parisian suburbs are the absolute pinnacle of football playing creation right now. So doesn't it make sense that the team that represents them should win the Champions League as their greatest product leaves with one last statement of French football greatness? Cuckoo, right? So here's my predictions. My predictions based on poetry, not based on odds. Okay? Here's how the next couple rounds of the Champions League are going to go. Arsenal is going to beat Bayern because Bayern's a mess. Okay? And it would be fun if they did. Atletico is going to beat Dortmund because Dortmund doesn't really belong this far in. I think Real is going to beat Man City. And I have a general anti-Premier League thing in my prediction. Premier League is the greatest league in the world. Listen, I watched the first half of the Arsenal-Man City game before recording this video, okay? It's not as important as the Classique, but it's an important match, you know what I'm saying? It's important. But the football gods have given too much to England, okay? Just too much. This is why they can't win the Euros either. Like, they got the Super League. If I have to watch some random game and you tell me you can choose the French League, even though I know more of the French League players, I've watched more of the French League game or a Premier League game, if I'm being honest, I would say, well, give me a random Premier League game because it might be, I don't know, Newcastle versus Luton, which would probably be more interesting than, I don't know, Metz versus Orient. Okay? Now, like, I really enjoy Ligue 1, so that's hard for me to say, but that's true. So they have everything. So the football gods can't give everything to England. So Man City is going to go out to Real. Premier League dominance, that's what they get to keep. They get to keep all the money, all the prestige, all the players. And of course, PSG is going to beat Barca for the reasons of this is Mbappe's last dance. We gave the last dance. France gave the last dance to Argentina. That was its gift. It intentionally choked during the shootouts. That was on purpose. Lloris was in league, okay, with the football gods. He's in touch with the football gods. I guess he did play for Tottenham. Maybe there's some kind of balancing act there. I don't know. I don't know that much about football gods. And then the next round, PSG is going to beat Atletico because PSG is has to, for the purpose of poetic consistency, defeat only Spanish teams. Because the greatest thing that has happened to the French Football League ever is Kylian Mbappe. And him staying in Paris has been the best thing ever for the league. And the fact that he's leaving to go to a Spanish team makes sense that they beat a Spanish team to get to every level. Okay? Sociedad and Atletico and eventually Real. Okay, I think Real is going to beat Arsenal just because of their pedigree and because the football gods demand Mbappe, the greatest player in the world, play against the second best player in the world, Bellingham, right? And having him play against as his current team against his future team and the last gasp of French greatness as they win. Now this continues on to the Europa League. Now I think Liverpool will beat Atalanta. I think Milan will beat Roma. I think Leverkusen will beat West Ham. And I also think that Marseille will beat Benfica, even though we are in a catastrophic, and now I'm saying I'm saying Marseille. Even though we are in a catastrophic position right now with the amount of injuries that we have, this is making up for the time when Benfica passed on with a phantom call way back 30 years ago. Okay? Maybe even longer than that. Leverkusen, I think, will beat Milan. And I think Marseille will beat Liverpool. Do I sound crazy? Marseille will beat Liverpool. Let me tell you why. Because the greatness of the Premier League is going to mess with the Premier League teams. Because it's so important. Because it's a real question. Is it better to win the Europa League or to win the Premiership? Man, they don't care about the Europa League. They're going to go all in. And right now, it is a huge fight at the top. Right now, right? I mean, Liverpool is in first place right now, but if like one of those teams scores a goal in the second half, which I'm not watching to make this video, then all of a sudden we're going to have a different leader. So Liverpool is going to put in a B team. Marseille is going to fight its ass off. It's going to win, and then it's going to beat Leverkusen. I don't know why. There's no good reason to say how or why they'd beat Leverkusen, except that it fits my thesis. This is why you don't bet on poetry. And then I think in the Conference League, I think Bruges will beat PAOK, Olympiacos will beat Fenerbahce, I think Fiorentina will beat Victoria Pilsen, and I think Lille will beat Aston Villa. Now, does that sound crazy to you? First of all, Lille is a ridiculously good team. I've watched them a lot. Like, they are a surprisingly good team. Like, if you watched French football last year, like, Lens was like a surprisingly good football team. That's how good Lille is. And Aston Villa is up there. They're in fourth place in the Premier League. They're going to be fighting and scrapping and trying to keep it together. They don't care about this competition. They're going to be working so hard to stay there that Lille will be able to take them out. Then Fiorentina will take out Bruges. Lille will take out Fenerbahce. And that will be the end. And we will have a quintuple where France will win the Champions, Europa, Conference, Olympics, and Euros. This is such a stupid idea for a video, but you watched it, so you tell me. Do you want more ridiculous, pointless stuff like this? I don't know, but I could just tell you right now, I am so psyched. Because my two favorite soccer players in the world are Kylian Mbappe and Chancel Mbemba. And they are about to go foot to foot in the Stade Vélodrome. That'll be my final prediction. Marseille is going to win. I believe that strongly. 2-1. Yeah, that's going to happen. Okay? So I'm making a lot of outrageous predictions. I will tell you right now, that's my predictions. Those are all my predictions. One of them will be incorrect. Okay? So I don't think I have perfect calls right here, but one of them will be incorrect. We'll see which one it is. All right. Until next time, allez les bleus, allez l'OM. And I don't know. Man, watching soccer has made my life much better. Association football. It has made my life much better. It's really, really fun. So thank you, beautiful game. There's the camera.